I'm Steve Shapiro, author of Best Practices Are Stupid, and today I want to do a little bit of a rant. You see, this weekend I went to hear a speaker talk about how to make $1 million a year. And he gave lots of different techniques and different thoughts, and in fact he studied many people who are millionaires, and in fact is part of a group of people who make $1 million a year, and he studied these people and he's gathered their success stories and sort of distilled down to the things that they've done. I'm sitting in the audience thinking to myself, this guy has no clue as to how he or anyone else became successful. There's a number of reasons for this, and I think it's really important for us to understand them, because here you are, you're part of this program, and you're listening to experts talk about topics, and one of the things I want you to get is the power and importance of critical thinking, because no matter what you hear, you should never believe what anyone says, because you do not understand necessarily the thought process they went through in identifying their ideas. So here's why I thought that the speaker missed the mark. He talked to people who are successful. Now, there is a concept in statistics called the undersampling of failure. And basically what the undersampling of failure means is that we tend to look at the things that worked, but we don't spend as much time thinking about the things that didn't work. Very simple example, if I went to a bunch of millionaires and I talked to them, and I discovered that every one of them showered, I might be able to conclude that showering is the key to becoming a millionaire, because it was a trait that they all had in common. Now, of course, that's sort of an overstretched example. And of course, if you don't shower, maybe you won't become a millionaire, because nobody's going to want to be around you. But here's the thing. People who don't shower, or people who do shower, don't necessarily become millionaires. So we don't look at the failures. So I can give you some advice, and I can say, you know, one of the things we found is that all millionaires save 10% of their money. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people who save 10% of their money and never become a millionaire. For every piece of advice that someone gives you, the odds are there's a lot of people who've tried exactly that advice and were not successful. So that tells us something really important. Their advice is not accurate. Now, this comes down to some really good, important critical thinking. There are three concepts that are important for us to understand: causation, correlation, and coincidence. Now, causation is the best, the most useful, the most difficult to prove, which basically says, I did this, and as a result, I achieved this. And we know that this caused this. If I did something else, I would have achieved a different result. If I do this, I always get this. Now, correlation basically means I did this, and I got this, but I don't know if this caused this or this caused that. So they seem to arise at the same time, but we're not sure which one actually impacted the other. The last one, which is sort of the most damaging one, is coincidence. I did this, I got that, but guess what? It was a coincidence. And yes, a lot of people could do the same thing. You can say, well, that's a lot of coincidences, but it actually happens. So I really encourage you, when listening to an expert, be skeptical, be critical. Really question what they are saying, because this is the only way that you could possibly get the good advice out of it. So never trust an expert. In fact, if I were to give you one piece of advice, it's to ignore all advice. And of course, that means that you shouldn't believe a word that I'm saying or what anyone else is saying. And that's the good news, because it means that everything we do is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Everything we do has to be tailored to your specific needs. So just because I or one of the other coaches gives you some advice doesn't mean it's right. It might be right for me, but it might not be right for you. You need to understand your lifestyle, what your goals, what your aspirations are, how you want to live your life. And based on that, then you can determine whether or not the things we're talking about fit what works for you. So be skeptical. Until next time, this is Steve Shapiro. Have a good day.